Welcome to another World Cup fantasy video. This will be for the unlimited transfers ahead of Matchday for the best team possible. I'll be offering my thoughts, and this is actually recorded very late on in the week. It's around halftime in the Brazil versus Cameroon game. I'm trying to find the best possible time in order to record these videos, and I believe the team selection will be recorded after the conclusion of Group H, so there will be as much information as possible, and it's kind of very difficult to find the best time to record this because we still had games going on throughout the week, and I also didn't have the time myself, but I finally do, and that's why I'm doing it here. So hopefully you enjoy these videos that are coming up, as well as the deadline stream tomorrow. Be sure to tune in for that as well, and if you end up enjoying this video, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's get this video to over 300 likes, and let's also push on towards 20,000 subscribers, and I'm going to show you, in my opinion, the best possible 50-man squad. Let me know if you have any other ideas down in the comment section below, and without further ado, let's get straight into this video. These are two of the best goalkeepers in the game, and Nopper is only 4.5 million, yet only Szczesny has more points amongst goalkeepers. And what I like about Nopper is he can not only get the clean sheets, but also some save points, as he did in Matchday 3 against Qatar, and he's a really good way of covering that Netherlands defence. Normally you'd say Dumfries at 6 million is the best one, but in this tournament so far, I think Nopper is the clear standout, and I would go for him. And he's been kind of a revelation in this tournament. We all expected Bülow, Sillerson going into this tournament before he was left out of the squad, and many other goalkeepers like Pasveer to be number one, and in the end it has been Nopper, and I don't think that will change. Maybe Louis van Gaal will do some absolute madness in terms of changing goalkeepers for penalty shootouts. That could be a possibility going into the knockout stages. And the USA looks like a good fixture on paper, but in my opinion they were the most impressive team in their group. They probably deserve to beat England, and USA could be a very tough game, so I don't think it's kind of a guaranteed clean sheet, but that's why we have Alisson in goal in terms of our second goalkeeper to rely on later on, and he's going to be facing South Korea, who pipped Uruguay based on goals scored because they had the same goal difference. And I think Brazil, I think you could even go for 2 or 3 of them defensively. Now, South Korea could cause an upset. You never know in football, of course, but realistically, Brazil will progress, and I think they have one of the best defenses, if not the best. And in the first 2 match days, of course, Alisson kept 2 clean sheets, and also Brazil didn't concede a single shot on target with their main team. So I think Brazil is definitely a nation you want to really target defensively more so than not, and maybe go for one attacker at this stage. And remember, one key point that you might not be aware of is that you can now have up to 4 players from the same nation in the round of 16, and this then ends up going to 5 in the quarterfinals, and it keeps increasing. In the final, you end up being able to have 8 players from the same country. So I would go for Nopper and Alisson at this moment in time. Let me know if you go for anyone else. I think a lot of us maybe like to balance our defenses and cover different nations or different teams defensively rather than doubling or tripling up. But I would recommend, if you are really confident of a team going through, of them keeping a clean sheet and also going far in the competition, I have no objections to going for 2 or 3 of a certain nation defensively, maybe England or Brazil. Now, this could backfire, of course, but we do get 4 free transfers after the round of 16 deadline has passed, which we can use, and that can be very important as well. And we get multiple transfers going into each kind of stage, the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, and the final, which is why I use my wildcard very early on in this competition, and I recommended the same in my chip strategy videos and everything else we've discussed on this channel. But I have gone for Otamendi. I think Argentina have one of the best defenses despite their shock defeat in Matchday 1. They have actually conceded one of the fewest big chances of any nation across the whole tournament, actually, but 2 clean sheets in a row against Mexico and Poland. And Argentina, I think, have 14 clean sheets in the last 17 matches, and they also have the likes of Lisandro Martinez who can come in, they can play a back 3, and Romero and Otamendi is a very solid partnership in general when they're fully fit and 100%. So Otamendi at 5 million, I think, is the best way to cover Argentina's defense. He's even better than Emi Martinez in goal, and also the likes of Molina, who could be rotated. The same goes for Acuna, who, when he starts, he's obviously the best in terms of value and has the attacking threat through the assists. But Otamendi is going to start every single game. He's a very underrated player in my opinion. Hopefully he can continue. He's been doing great for Benfica and for Argentina over the years. He's only had maybe a period where he looked pretty suspect, but once again, really good centre-back, one of the best in this tournament so far, and Australia isn't going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think I'd double up on Argentina defensively personally, or even triple up. I would rather save that for Brazil and perhaps England as well, actually. I think they might have a better chance of a clean sheet especially in the case of Brazil. But I think one or two Argentina defenders wouldn't be bad at all, but I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket personally. Theo Hernandez is in here against Poland, who were awful against Argentina, but I have to say, it was a very difficult situation for them to be in because they hadn't qualified to the knockout stages since 1986, and it was a very weird way to approach this game because if they went really offensive against Argentina, they could have lost by 3 or 4 by the very least, and that would have meant Mexico would have gone through. Now, even with their defensive approach, they probably should have lost by more, and I think that's good news for France. You know, if Poland play the way they did against Argentina, I think France will easily get through to the quarterfinals, but football isn't like that, and sometimes you turn up against a certain opposition and sometimes you don't against others. That's football. That's the beauty of it. We've had so many upsets, and France, they have looked convincing, especially in the first 2 games, but they are vulnerable, especially defensively. The reason why I've gone for Theo Hernandez right now is because of his attacking potential, and he's looked really good on the eye whenever he has played, even coming on as a substitute in matchday 1. So I think he's a good option, but even more so in this case, I wouldn't double or triple up on France defensively. I'd actually rather go for their attackers instead. So the 2 teams I've doubled up on defensively are England and Brazil. Now, you could still cover other nations and defences, of course. You don't have to just go for these countries and these players that I've got on screen, but I still think it's a really solid base, and I've gone for Shaw and Trippier. Both of them are 5 million. Both of them have attacking potential. Trippier from set pieces, Shaw from open play, and Shaw is really good for England, I have to say that, and he's been in good form this season for Man United. And Senegal have looked decent, but at the same time, they weren't fully convincing. I think maybe Ecuador were a bit unlucky not to go through in that, especially with decisions against them by the officials, but England have a good chance of a clean sheet and of going through, despite the ITV curse or wherever else you might kind of suggest there. Maguire's another good option at 5.5 million, and he has the attacking potential. Maguire's really good for England as well, but I would go for Shaw and Trippier because they're $500,000 cheaper, and they also have the attacking potential through the assists. And then I've gone for Alexandro there because I think Brazil, once again, especially with the fixture they have now against South Korea, they've got a fantastic chance of a clean sheet and also of progressing, and their route to the semi-final actually looks pretty good on paper. But of course, you never know in football. Brazil is one nation that I've kind of backed all the way to go to the semi-finals at the very least, and I think they have a great chance this year of doing it, but let's wait and see how they perform. I would go for Alexandro and Alisson to cover Brazil defensively with 2 of them. The same goes for Shaw and Trippier, and then I've gone for kind of one of Noppert for the Netherlands, Otamendi and Theo Hernandez to cover 3 other really good nations. This was the toughest part of the team to decide on. The midfield is pretty good, but you might argue it's a bit underwhelming. We've got a very good balance throughout every single position, and you might argue a bit more money needs to be invested in the midfield. Let me know in the comment section down below if that's how you feel, and which midfielders are you going to go for that maybe deserve more of a mention. But Bruno Fernandes for me has to be in it. The form he's in, 2 goals and 2 assists in the first 2 games. He is the talisman for Portugal right now, and they're going to be facing either Switzerland or Serbia. At the time of this recording, it looks like it's going to be Switzerland. Now, that won't be an easy game, but at the same time, you would back Portugal to go through. And even if they get knocked out, I think Bruno Fernandes has a great chance of some returns. He's really good for key passes, the assists and the goals, of course, which he's definitely showing what he's capable of in this tournament. So I think he's a great option, and he's the best premium midfielder by some distance. Then I've gone for Ziyech, who's my favourite midfielder at 7 million and below, but he is facing Spain, who are the favourites in that game, but I would not underestimate Morocco at all. I actually wouldn't be shocked if Morocco knocks Spain out. And I've got Dani Olmo in there as well, but you could easily go for Saka if you're a bit more confident of England progressing in that case. And that's going to be a tricky one for me, whether I go for Olmo or Bukayo Saka, or maybe another 8 million and below midfielder like Jude Bellingham, for example. But I think Olmo or Saka would be a really good fit there. But I have to say, I think the midfielders are generally quite underwhelming in this tournament. They're not maybe as prolific or as consistent as they are in FPL or UCL Fantasy. We've also got Klaassen in there against USA. I think he's a decent option, and he's the best Netherlands midfielder. Bergwijn has been a big disappointment so far, but I think Klaassen is a good way of covering the attack, especially if you decide not to go for Gakpo, who is obviously in the form of his life right now. 3 goals in 3 games. It's hard to not go with him, but let's say, for example, you want to cover Richarlison instead, then Klaassen could be your way in to that Netherlands attack. But I think the USA are a decent team. They're a great unit. They're very difficult to beat. They played some great football in Group B, and not only that, they've only conceded 1 goal, which was a penalty, and Turner, since he has joined Arsenal, has only conceded 2 goals, both of them were penalties, and obviously that's including Arsenal and the USA. So I think they've got something going there, some decent young players. So it won't be easy for the Netherlands, but Klaasen's a good way into the attack. The final midfielder is McGree. He's just a budget midfielder there, really. And also maybe for jinx purposes, you could say he got the assist in Matchday 3, which was crucial for Australia to qualify to the knockout stages. But he's really just there for budget reasons. And once again, maybe a bit more money needs to be invested in this midfield. Let me know. And now let's go on to the forwards, where definitely we're putting a lot of money in here. And we've got some of the best strikers in the world. I have gone for Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe and Richarlison, and we've used up all of our funds available. And Lionel Messi's only 10.5 million. He's obviously on set pieces. He's been having a great tournament as well, in my opinion. Maybe against Saudi Arabia, not the greatest game, a kind of 6 out of 10 performance, but he got the penalty goal. In Matchday 2, he was clutch with the goal and the assist. And arguably, he had the best game against Poland, but he just didn't score that goal. He missed the penalty, a great save by Szczesny. I don't think it was a bad penalty by any stretch of the imagination, but he also had another good chance to score from open play, which he didn't take. And honestly, he probably got robbed of 2 or 3 assists at the very least, but his playmaking was on another level. And I think when you compare him to Harry Kane, from an offensive point of view, Australia could be a better fixture, or at least you can view it in that way, despite the fact that Australia have kept clean sheets in the last 2 games. And honestly, in terms of Argentina midfielders and attackers, I think it's just Messi. Di Maria is a doubt going into this game. He could be benched, actually. It's not a huge concern in terms of his injury, but he's got a bit of a problem in terms of his muscular overload. So he's got a bit of a problem there. It's kind of a fine line between being injured and being fit. So Argentina might be careful in that regard. And they tried a team out, which was, I think, the exact same as it was against Poland, but they made one key change, which was Angel Correa coming in for Angel Di Maria. So be aware of that. I would just cover Argentina offensively with Messi, and that's it. But you could also consider Enzo Fernandez at 6 million if you want a midfielder, because he got a goal against Mexico, a fantastic goal coming off the bench, and he also got the assist and got a key passes point against Poland. So I think he's a decent option as well if you were to maybe consider another one. Alvarez as well up front, but it's Messi or nothing for me, really. And I think when you compare him to Harry Kane, Messi is the one I'd rather have at this moment in time. Then we have Kylian Mbappe, who for me is the best premium in the game, probably the best player to own, period, alongside Bruno Fernandes at this moment in time. And I would definitely go for those two, as well as a Brazilian goalkeeper or defender. I think those are the kind of must-haves, and the rest is up for debate, but of course we might have different opinions on that. And Mbappe, I think, will have opportunities. He's already missed 4 big chances in 2 games, and of course he did come off the bench against Tunisia, but they still lost that game. And Richarlison's going to be the other forward facing South Korea. I think he's got a fantastic chance of getting some points there. Neymar could return, but let's wait and see on that front. He might still be rested for the quarterfinals should Brazil progress, but Richarlison will have the bulk of the chances, and I think a Brazilian attacker is a really good thing in the round of 16, and Richarlison is the best bet, only 7.5 million, and he's got a great record for Brazil recently. So that's a really strong forward line. The midfield is kind of maybe unorthodox, but still pretty decent in my opinion. A very solid defense and 2 outstanding goalkeepers. I think this would make for a really good Matchday 4 team, and this is a really good way of using your unlimited transfers. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. In terms of the final kind of thing to really cover, it would be the captaincy. So I would probably go for Messi first, because he plays on the first day, so on the Saturday, the 3rd of December. And then if you need to change the captaincy, I would keep it very simple and go for Kylian Mbappe. So 2 great captaincy options with good fixtures on paper, playing for 2 top nations, and Argentina finally starting to show what they're capable of, at least in that game against Poland and towards the end of the Mexico game. So I think this is a really good way of covering some of the best premium options in the game. Bruno Fernandes is also a nice shout, by the way, for the captaincy. The same goes for Richarlison, but I would go for Messi, then Kylian Mbappe if needed. Well, that concludes our 50-man squad for Matchday 4. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'd be very curious to see. And be sure to join in for the deadline stream tomorrow, as well as watching my team selection video. If you end up enjoying this video, then be sure to drop it a like. Let's get this to over 300. And we're also looking to push on towards 20,000 subscribers. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and become a patron or channel member. The links are in the description below. The same goes for the Discord server and the World Cup Fantasy League. All of that is there. I wish you all the best of luck for the rest of this World Cup tournament and also FPL. And I'll see you next time.